Okay, tonight's video is going to be of the Liberty Net on $39.95 on 80 meters ham radio. I hope y'all enjoy this video. Here it is. Starting now.
The band apparently is cooperating.
Yeah, finally I was about ready to give up hope. Yeah, you're coming in here real good. I didn't look at the meter, but you're coming in crystal clear. All right, I hope it holds on. I'll let you get back to get some more check-ins.
I appreciate it, and yes, I'm showing you almost 40. It's about a bounce in between 35 and 40 over 9.
Yeah, Roger, I'm getting you about 30 over here.
Ah, the wonders of fire in the wire. Alrighty, Mr. Bill, thank you. I've got you down as number 3, so CQ, this is Kilo Alpha 8 Julio Yankee for the real Liberty Net in the great state of Ohio. Can I have some check-ins, over? Kilo Echo 4 Kilo, and I didn't write fast enough. All righty, Michael. Well, thank you. I'd like to try to send those out and just kind of make a welcome, over. All righty, Kilo Echo 4, Kilo November Echo. This is KHOI. I heard another station off in the distance. Can you come back with your call phonetically, over? Kilo Charlie 2 Victor, I got a space and uniform. Mr. Bill or Mr. Jesse, did you hear the Kilo Charlie 2 to give me that middle, the suffix?
Tell them to give it to us again, and I'll see if I can listen in.
The Kilo Charlie 2, can you say it again so Mr. Jesse can hear it? Kilo Charlie 2 Victor uniform. I got it that time. Sorry that I was a little slow on the draw there. Let me see. It looks like Lewis in the state of New York. Well, you're very welcome. It was a pleasure to have you, and it's a pleasure to have you check in again tonight. So I've got you on the list. And you are, let me see, you're number 4, so thank you very much. Mr. Larry, it's always a pleasure to hear you also, over. It does seem like the band is cooperating for once in a while. It's been kind of bad on the net down on the lower part of the band, but tonight's sounding good. So thank you, Mr. Larry. This is KAHJOY for the great real Liberty Net. Looking for some additional check-ins before I kick this off. So CQ. Nothing heard, so I'm going to open the door. So good evening to all. Good evening to all the participants on this 75-meter Liberty Net tonight. This is a directed net, and I believe it is the longest running and only current events discussion net on amateur radio now. And since the year of 1974, founded by the one, the only, W1 WCR, Mr. Victor. Current event and amateur radio topics are welcome tonight. This is the real Liberty, not the pyrite net. I'm going to read the part about the Pledge of Allegiance. I haven't done that, I think, for a couple nets. The Pledge of Allegiance, as we know, was written August 1892 by a socialist minister, Francis Bellamy. In its original form, it read, I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all. In the year of 1923, the flag of the United States of America was added. In the year of 1954, in response to the communist threat, God, I wonder what we can add right now because of all this communist threat. The threat of the time, then President and retired General Eisenhower encouraged Congress to add the words under God, creating the 31-word pledge we say today. If Sleepy Floppy Joe gets in, I know that they did the Pledge of Allegiance and they omitted the word God on one of the times that they were on the news, but we're not going to admit that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So with that being said, good evening to Netters. I'm going to try for one more round of CQs, and then I'm going to open the door. So CQ, over. I almost teed up when you said that. Go ahead again. Good evening, Frank. It's good to hear you. Strong signal into Ohio. Well, I didn't know about the sweepstakes, but we're going to make every effort to keep this going religiously, just like Mr. Victor, W1WCR intended, sir. Over. Alrighty, sir. Well, thank you for logging in tonight with us. So I'm going to go to the top of the list, but I think first let me minimize my screen. And I clicked on an article about good old Sleepy Floppy Joe, and he says he was gathered from the Blaze. Joe Biden gathered with his running mate, Kamala Harris, House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Senate Majority Leader Chucky on Friday. However, Biden had no patience for the reporter who asked a timely question, and he quickly admonished the correspondent. Video shows Biden telling Pelosi and Schumer, quote, in my Oval Office, my casa, your casa. Basically, in his Oval Office, his ass will be gone and they'll be in. Biden added, quote, I hope we're going to spend a lot of time together. Well, that's kind of good for Kamala because he can sniff her neck and maybe play with her like he did Tara Reid. The press pool was then required to leave, and you could hear a Biden aide reportedly saying, quote, let's go, guys, let's go, unquote. CBS News reportedly calmly attempted to ask Mr. Biden a parting question before being escorted out of the room. Quote, Mr. Biden, the COVID task force says it's safe for students to be in the class. Are you going to encourage the union to cooperate more? Let me go down here. Oh, come on, dumb computers. Sometimes you just want to slap them. Are you going to have the unions cooperate more with bringing kids back to the classroom, sir? Erickson politely asked. Biden dismissed the question and responded, quote, Wires is the only guy that always shouts out questions. Biden and Pelosi then cackled at the reporter. Oh, dear Jesus, please help us. Please help us. With that being said, I'm going to go to Mr. Jesse, KG4, CX&C. Jesse, good evening. Welcome to the Real Liberty Net, over.
Hey, good evening everyone on the great Liberty Net here on Saturday night's edition. This is Kilo Golf 4 Zulu X-Ray Charlie. Man, it's great to hear everybody in there. The band sounds excellent, and better quit bragging before something happens. Well, anyway, let's backstep just 1 second, guys. And how you copy, Bob?
Strong signal here in Ohio.
Okay, good deal. All right, well, thank you, sir. Hey, well, let's back up, like I said, and let's focus on one section of the Pledge of Allegiance. It says that we have justice for all. Well, we do. We have justice for all, as long as it's for all the others, and it exempts us. That's what's going on anymore. I mean, our Pledge of Allegiance is supposed to be for all mankind, each and every one of us. Black, white, race, color, whatever, religion, doesn't matter. Liberty and justice for all. That's what it stood for. Well, not the way the news media and everybody is reporting this fraudulent voting system that we've have in this banana republic. I tell you what, it's enough to rack anybody's nerves. But I just want to start the net off tonight with an article coming out of Gateway Pundits, and it actually came out on the 19th, which all good news comes out on Friday afternoon when nobody else is paying attention. So there you have it. Anyway, this article goes into huge attorney. Sidney Powell confirms alleged Dominion server in Germany were confiscated. Okay, well, I did happen to hear a little bit more about this article, but I'm going to read the one off Gateway Pundits. Last week, Republican Louis Gohmert told Chris Cito on Newsmax, people on the ground in Germany reported that Sketel, which hosted election data improperly through Spain, was raided by a large U.S. Army force and their servers were seized in Frankfurt. The video went viral. Here is what Louis Gohmert, Republican of Texas, had to say about this alleged raid earlier today. So let me scroll down here. And from the source, the U.S. government wants they determined that the Dominion servers was involved in switching votes. Then the intelligence community began a search for the servers and discovered that the servers was in Germany. In order to access the servers, it had been available for use in a legal manner. They had to have the State Department work in tandem with the Department of Justice. They had to request the government of Germany to cooperate in allowing the seizure of the servers. The appropriate document required to effect that this kind of seizure was put in place, signed off on, and it appears there were also U.S. military support in this operation. The U.S. military was not the lead, but did help in this capture of the servers, and they helped explain why Esper was fired and Mark Miller, well, actually, this is Miller and Cash Patel were put in place so that the military would not interfere with any operations in any way. So President Trump, it looks like he does have a little bit of control of our military, which thank God for that. The article goes to continue by getting a hold of the servers, and we're now going to have a direct evidence of when they were instructed to stop counting. They will also discover who gave the directions to stop the counting and the initiation of the algorithm that started switching votes. the CIA was completely excluded from this operation. During the press conference on Thursday, Attorney Sidney Powell weighed in on the Dominion Smartmatic servers that were reportedly confiscated in Germany. So there you have it, guys. They got the evidence. It's just a matter of will the courts, will the legal system do its just duty and take it up, or will they dismiss it like the Supreme Court judge in Pennsylvania just threw out the Trump lawsuit today, matter of fact. But this is kind of activity that's been going on for way too long, and maybe God is looking out for us, ladies and gentlemen, and I really hope He is, because I pray every day and night that something good comes from all this. But that's a good portion of the news, and I hope they got more evidence that's coming in the future, especially from the state of Georgia. Oh, and by the way, all the Trump rallies are as good as everybody says they are. Even the protest rally down in Atlanta this week. I took off Wednesday, and we seen the rally, the protest rally, and it was awesome. So if you ever get out and you want to, be part of something bigger, just go to one of those. With that being said, thanks, Mr. Bob, for everything, and this is the Saturday Night Liberty Net. I'm KG4, this is the XNC. Back to you, Bob.
All righty, Mr. Jesse, thank you. KG4 is the X and the C, KJY. Well, I'm going to jump over there to Mr. Mo just to make sure he's awake. KD0 RSA, just making sure you're still with us, KAHJOY.
Well, thank you, JOY. I'm still awake. And I'm just sitting here being all ears. Anyway, you can appreciate Jesse saying what he did and going to that rally. That would be awesome, but we're too many miles out here to make it. And I don't care to fly in an airplane. Anyway, I got my own, but it's too little to go that far. KD0 RSA, I'll be back here listening. Back to that, over.
All right, Mr. Mo, it's good to hear your voice in there, and yeah, that would be a heck of a drive for you. So KD0 RSA, KHJY. I'm going to jump over to Mr. Bill, KO4FE, KAHJOY. Good evening, William.
Okay, KAHJOY, Liberty Net. This is KO4FE. Okay, Bob. Conditions are good. Everyone's coming in. Even the weak stations, I'm copying them better than normal. Well, the left wing, the white-hating communists, BLM, they're on a campaign to remove all monuments, statues, anything with a white person involved, and always saying, well, that person was racist, this person used the N-word, this person was in the Confederacy, or they always got a slave owner, or they always got an excuse. Well, what do they do when they got a guy, a monument that they can't claim that the person who the monument is to had ever owned slaves or done anything? Well, here's what happens. University of Wisconsin declares large rock to be racist, votes to remove. The University of Wisconsin-Madison plans to remove a large rock from campus after students complained that it is a symbol of racism because it was referred to in a local newspaper in 1925 using a word regarded as a racial slur. The Wisconsin State Journal reported Wednesday, University of Wisconsin-Madison is moving forward on a plan to remove a boulder from Observatory Hill after calls from students of color who see the rock as a painful reminder of the history of racism on campus. The 70-ton boulder is officially known as Chamberlain Rock in honor of Thomas Crowder Chamberlain, a geologist and former university president. But the rock was referred to at least once after it was dug out of the hill as a niggerhead, a commonly used expression in the 1920s to describe any large, dark rock. The Wisconsin Black Student Union called for the rock's removal over the summer. President Newell McWhorter said the rock is a symbol of the daily injustices that students of color face on a predominantly white campus. A predominantly white campus that's basically a communist war camp, all far-left radicals. I'm sure that he's facing daily injustices at the hands of all these leftists. It's just unbelievable. It's like a talking point that they got to put in everything. According to the State Journal, the 1925 news article is the only known instance of the offensive term being used. The university's campus planning committee voted unanimously to remove the rock, though it does not have another place to put it. Removal will also be complicated by the fact that the rock's current site is near a Native American effigy mound. Former Secretary of Energy Rick Perry, who was then the governor of Texas, was criticized in 2011 when the Washington Post reported that the slur was once painted on a large rock on his family's ranch. Perry said his family painted over the slur when they leased the land and that they had never used the slur. Oh, jeez. So anyway, they're getting rid of another memorial to a white person of note. Wonder how much they had to research to find out that it was referred to by that term almost 100 years ago. Here's another one. This is what you get by trying to accommodate these leftists. LGBT activist compares Christians who don't accept homosexuality to rapists and Holocaust deniers. These acronyms. LGBT activist Jane Ozanne has compared biblical Christians to rapists and Holocaust deniers for failing to preach the morality of homosexual sex. Well, why would they do that? It's condemned in the Bible. In a recent article for Pink News, Ozanne, director of the UK-based Ozanne Foundation, and listen to this, General Synod member. Why would a woman like this want to have anything to do with the Episcopal Church's General Synod? But anyway, she blasted the Church of England for upholding Christian teachings on marriage and sexuality in its recent publication of a set of resources titled Living in Love and Faith. Supposedly a British evangelical Anglican, Ozanne works with religious organizations around the world in an effort to persuade them to update their moral teachings to accommodate LGBT sexual lifestyles. Yeah, they got to update. See, people like Ozanne, they're morally superior to all the saints, all the apostles, even Jesus Christ, the Old Testament figures. She's morally superior to them because they didn't know the wonders and the godliness of what? Well, I don't want to get into their sexual practices, but the sexual practices of the LGBT folks. So, in her mind, she has the final word on what the church is going to teach. Anyway, unlike the soldiers who crucified Jesus, church leaders know They are wounding and hurting LGBT people by propagating biblical sexual morality. Why is she even a member of the Church of England? I mean, it's as watered down, as liberal about as you could get, and that's not enough for her. Anyway, Ozanne writes, and thus the Jesus prayer, Father, that's not the Jesus prayer. Father, forgive them, they know not what they do, does not apply to them. Personally, I believe this is completely different, she said. Indeed, I think it's immoral, inexcusable, and cowardly. Yeah, it's immoral to believe the plain teachings of the Bible, according to this woman. The Anglican Church's invitation to LGBT people, there's their first mistake. They should have never gave an invitation. Why don't they give an invitation to the Satanists? Make about as much sense, but anyway, they gave an invitation to LGBT people. The dialogue with church leaders is also unacceptable. That's not enough for her. How would one invite a survivor of the Holocaust to sit down and listen to the rantings of a Holocaust denier, she said. Well, that's actually an example. Why would the Anglican Church want to listen to the rantings of an LGBT fanatic? She says, would one ask a rape victim to sit down with a rapist and understand why they want to rape people? It's not only ridiculous, it's downright dangerous. Yeah, she's right about that, but I don't think it's the way she means it. It's insane for the church to sit down and listen to her. It's in her words, ridiculous. Ozanne takes particular issue with the idea that Christians with same-sex attraction should be encouraged to live celibate lives rather than engaging in homosexual relations. She says now there's a wide body of evidence that shows just how harmful those teachings are to people, particularly young LGBT+. I don't know what that means. People growing up in conservative communities of faith. Well, don't go to church. That's a simple solution. If you don't like the church's teaching, don't belong to it. Ozanne suggests that Christians who do not celebrate, you gotta celebrate gay sex. She says those who do not celebrate gay sex should be prosecuted for hate speech. And notions of religious liberty should not allow churches to teach that sodomy is sinful. Yeah, these people have no idea the absolute insanity of their comments. So the church, Christians, whose Bible and 2,000 years, well, actually more than that if you go back to the Garden of Eden, millennia of teachings against homosexuality, they should forget that, and instead they should celebrate gay sex. This woman's nuts. There is clear evidence that certain actions are wounding people, particularly young people, at the start of their lives, and therefore they must be robustly challenged and stopped, if necessary, by enshrining things in law. Yeah, this is what you got coming. It is, according to her, it says it's the moral duty of a civilized society to safeguard the vulnerable, not appease the perpetrators. Who are the perpetrators? The people that just want to accept Christian teachings, go to church, practice their religion. Nobody's bothering her, except that she has injected herself into a church that she doesn't agree with, so why should she be a part of it? Along with preaching against homosexual activity, other offensive practices, including conversion therapy, Ozanne writes, which attempts to help people overcome same-sex attraction. People who undergo such therapy, Ozanne says, often do not do so because they have been taught that changing gender or engaging in homosexual sex is sinful. Well, of course, that's what the Bible teaches. Most LGBT people are aware that religious teachings can be very bad news for who they are, who they want to love, and how they are accepted amongst certain religious communities, she writes. Well, don't be members of those communities. You notice they never condemn the Muslims for being against homosexual activity. Not one of these cowards will go to join a Muslim mosque and start preaching against the Quran or against Muhammad, or telling the Muslims they got to change their they got to change their teachings or else risk being banned by the government. You never hear these cowards do that. They just always attack these weak-kneed liberal churches. They don't go after the conservative or traditional churches because they know they'll just tell them to get lost. So anyway, Bob, back to you, KA8JOY Liberty Net from KO4FE.
Thank you, Bill. KO4FE, KJY. Well, if they went to a Muslim mosque and said, hey, I'm a gay person, they'd stone him or execute him. So they know the cost that they would have to pay. So, yeah, they're not going to do that. All righty, Bill, thank you. I'm going to run over to KE4KNE. Good evening. This is KAJOY. All righty, Mr. Ritchie. I caught you just at the end. Thank you, and I'll put you on the list, sir.
Thanks, Bob.
KE4KNE. You're up to the plate.
I'm not picking that one up. I didn't get your call to see where he was even located at. I'm not hearing that one. Barely hit till he was talking.
Doing such a great job, and you're running hardly any watts, but you're making a great trip. You're 20 over 9 here in Akron, Ohio. So KE4KNE, thank you, and welcome to be with us again with your QRP. That's on my list is a little light to me, but hopefully the band improves. KC2, VVU. Mr. Lewis, you're up to the plate, over. Well, the signal's doing better. I've got you 10 over 9, and my noise floor is a 7.
That's another one from me.
Alrighty, Sleepy Sloppy Joe does scare me. I don't think he'll be in office for a year. Other people are saying not even if he does make the cut, becomes our president-elect. I've heard people say he won't make it till Easter, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Thank you for your comments, and your signal was doing okay. Up, or it should say down to Mr. Larry in the great state of Tennessee. And for ROQ, KAHJOY, good evening, Mr. Larry. Thank you, Mr. Larry, in the great state of Tennessee. Appreciate your comments. And for ROQ, KAJOI, I'm going to go over to Mr. Frank, Whiskey 2, Golf, India, Ocean. Good evening. Welcome. It's your turn. Whiskey 2, GIO. I'm bringing your coax. Are you there? Alrighty, sir. Well, congratulations on WA money. That's always a good thing. So, W2GIO KHOI. And Mr. Ritchie, I'm glad you stood in there. The podium is yours. KB2DMT KHOI.
Okay, Bob. KHOI, this is KB2DMT. Let me just, see what I'm doing here. Alright, goodness. Now, last fella, I didn't get his call, Bob. God, there's so much RF on your audio, you could almost send CW by voice. You might want to check what's going on over there. Perhaps a misrouted ground or something like that. Anyway, I just came in to tail end of Bill's transmission. That was really good, Bill. Imagine celebrate fag sex, celebrate this. They want us to celebrate evil, Bob. That's what it is. And you're absolutely right, Bill. It's right. We hate speech. You know, you wear a crucifix around your neck. It's going to be hate speech. You're going to have to take it off. A cop will tell you to take it off. Whether he wants to or not. He's going to be told that's, I can't stand it. So basically what they want you to do is celebrate evil, these people. And, they're by no means in the majority, Bob, but they might as well be if the Christian majority of this country rolls over and dies for them. If we don't speak up, these people win. Same thing with the election. The election in quotes. It's a sham. God, it's always a sham with them, just like their sham control virus. Boy, wait till the flu season starts. Holy mackerel. Wait till people really start getting sick. There's this business where it's like a head cold. And you have to shut down. We had the Spanish flu in 1918, Bob. It killed millions worldwide. Nobody shut down. I remember a few years back, right on this, Steve used to give me a lot of guff for being so concerned about Ebola. Well, let's face it, Ebola is something to really get concerned about. And it turns out he was right. It was a bunch of crap. But I didn't know. I was like everybody else. I was listening to the news. They said, here comes Ebola. I said, holy mackerel, Ebola. We better start screening people. We better start, shutting people down from coming into the border. But even then, I didn't advocate shutting down and masking up. It wouldn't have done any good. But, man, faced with a real crisis, I don't know what we do. This whole thing is just to control people. And people love it. You should see them with their masks around here. They're nuts. I can't believe it, man. You tell them to hop on one leg and say, old McDonald, maybe do it. Because the governor said so. This is a law. What if somebody looked down now? A House bill with a number, you have a Senate bill with a number. The House and the Senate got together, they hashed it out. Eventually, went to the governor's desk for a signature. None of that's happened with this mask crap. It's not a law. People tell me now, where's your mask? I used to say, well, I have a medical condition. I don't need one. I tell them now, I don't have one. Call a cop. I'll wait here. Unbelievable. And that fellow that talked about the going out of the bar in D.C. and seeing the Dems and Republicans cozying up and slapping each other on the back bars, that's very telling, isn't it? They'll stand there and they'll tell you whatever they want. It's all a lie. It's all smoke. Remember
Lindsey Graham during the, I always like that. Lindsey Graham, because he's gay as a $3 bill, that guy. Cousin Al used to call him Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham during the 2016 campaign, was vehement. The stuff that he had to say about Donald Trump was just flat out evil. You could see it in his eyes. Oh, now, for the sake of the team, that's all changed. But it hasn't really. He's still a real enemy of the president. It's sick. These people, they stand for nothing. Honor and decency and a look in the eye and a handshake, as most people on this net know it. It's completely foreign to these people. Just you look at somebody like Biden. Why do you think he's messed up in the head after a whole lifetime of nothing but evil and deceit and treachery? Look at Hillary. They've never done anything decent in their life. It's just been an entire lifetime of deceit and underhandedness and high-handedness. There's just no honor in these people. There's no righteousness in them. So, it's no wonder. I don't know. Just wanted to rant and ramble. I really don't have anything about it. But nice to hear everybody. The band's in great shape and big signal. Oh, nice to hear you too, Lou. I almost forgot. KCTV, it's been so long. And good signal here. So over to you, Bob. KKOY and Liberty Net. This is KBT DMD.
All right, Richie, KB2 DMD, KKOY. Yeah, you mentioned something about a handshake. I went and bought a used truck today because my Honda Pilot has 180,000 and I wanted to get rid of it. And normally when you go to a dealership, they give you the paper, put your initials here, and I'll go see if my boss approves it. And I negotiated with the salesperson, and finally they came to an agreement, and she said, well, okay, you're going to take it? I said, I'll take it. No sign here, no initial here. She did a fist bump and said, it's yours. Let's go to finish. And I was like, wow, that's the way things used to be. You didn't have to, put my initials down and give them a $100 check for them to go talk to the manager. It's kind of refreshing, so I did enjoy that. Before I go to the top of this, I'm going to check for any additional check-ins. This is the real Liberty Net. This is KJOI, CQ. WW3, I think it said HGM. All right, WW3, Ham. Did you ask for that, or were you given that?
That was one of about 20 I sent in. This is the one they gave me.
Well, that is definitely cool. You don't see that one very often, so... Well, Mr. Williams, in the great state of Pennsylvania, we're at the bottom of the list. You've checked in. I'm going to give you the podium. Over.
Okay. Why is so nervous? Anyway, I'm going to have to read this. Long part from the way I wrote it for my wife and for my friends. Text and phone calls from people who are willing to work up about recent events. Even Patty is getting it. She typed something up. She said that her friends taken it away and looking the following. First and foremost, everyone needs to understand no business is short. The administration has a plan. The plan is to let the left, the media, the swamp, the deep state-controlled courts move forward with their plan while letting the world see the corruption for themselves. Being told is one thing, but seeing is believing. Biden didn't misspeak when he said they have put together the most extensive and inclusive fraud organization in the history of American politics. He looked down at his notes and he said exactly what he
control. They didn't expect Trump to be winning by such a large margin. Their fraudulent influence to make up for it. What happened? The Democrats swing states stopped counting, and right before 4 a.m., just the right amount of ballots began showing up in just the right precinct. Again, Trump and his people are in total control of everything. The media is not in control. Ask yourself this question. What is the most talked about topic on social media? Or even conversations between friends and family? It's the election. It's the fact that the left is trying to steal it. Now ask yourself, what side of the conversation are most people on? Who is really the majority? Now again, ask yourself, who really is in control? Trump attacking it on Twitter, and what is Twitter doing? They're literally putting labels on his tweets. That's called panic. And although Trump is appearing to push back, it's only for optics. The reality is, he and his allies are letting him get away with it so the people can see it with their own eyes. 100% fine in many places with the 4 a.m. Trump ballot, and over 90% in others. That's the concept, by the way. That's the concept. But it happens. What also happens is the people fraud, and the people are talking. Election related lawsuits making their way to the Supreme Court and trust that Trump campaign has all the proof and eyewitness affidavits to see their point and open the eyes of anyone who may still be asleep. They aren't about to show their hand until the time is just right. And that's what he always jumps on. Don't think for a minute that I'm not frustrated, but I know we all knew that was going to happen. The left told us it would happen. I also know there's nothing that says. And you know what? That's true. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm going to much more support once more this is not a fight between partisan people. This is a fight between good people, and God is on the top control. I want to thank you all for listening, and do yourself a favor, have faith, and trust the plan, and for God's sake, stop one. That's all I have. Back to 888-JOY.
William, that was very good. Thank you for reading that. Whiskey 3, Hotel, Amateur, Mike. Appreciate your comments. With that, I'm going to go back up to the top of the list to Mr. Jesse. I didn't prepare much tonight because I was out playing around buying a vehicle, so I'm going to throw it in Mr. Jesse's lap. Kilo Golf 4, Zulu X-Ray, and a C. This is Kilo Alpha 8, Julia Ocean, and a Y.
Okay, very good, Bob. And how's my signal holding up?
You're 25 over.
Okay, good deal. I just want to make sure everything was still functioning properly. Yeah, getting a little bit of some kind of noise being coming in across everybody, but not too bad. Still readable, so good deal. Hey, thanks, Bob. K8JOY, Net Control here for the Saturday Night Liberty Net. And thank you, Bob, for running that. And it's good to hear everybody in there tonight. Mr. Larry, always a pleasure. DMD, Mr. Rich, always good to hear you, sir. And Mr. Frank out of Fishkill, good to hear you. Mr. Mo, good to hear you, sir. And Mr. Bill, K4FE, good to hear you as well. And the other individuals out there as well, KC2, Victor Uniform. Hey, it's a great Saturday night. We're all here. We on the same page. We see what's going on around us. And, the young man right before us, Mr. William there, he made it quite clear. People need to stay away from that TV and don't buy into any of their garbage. Have you seen Tucker Carlson's last couple rants that he went on, putting down the president with the lack of information, he says. Oh, you have no proof on voter fraud. Well, you know what? We don't need proof. We see it with our own eyes. We're not blind people. We're Americans. We're citizens of this great country, and that's what we need to remember. We don't need proof. We see it. We've seen it. We see how it operates. We know how the system works, and that's what it's all about. This is another valid reason why we don't have to have proof, because we can sit here and look at certain news outlets and get the right news and not the garbage that's being reported. And this is off of Gateway Pundits here on the Saturday Night Liberty Net, guys. Watch Rebel News Reporter. Rebel News, yeah, that's a news outlet too. It's a Canadian news outlet, be honest. Rebel News reporter escorted from Dominion Building after discovering that they share office floor with, guess who? George Soros' linked group. Yeah, George Soros. He's got a occupied space in the same building where the Dominion voting machines were. Anyway, Rebel News journalist Keen Dix was escorted from the Dominion voting office in Toronto, Canada, after uncovering that they share a building with George Soros' linked group. Dominion voting who supplies voting machines to multiple swing states. How convenient, swing states. Every swing state seems to have these voting machines. Well, anyway, and it has been under fire since it was revealed that their machines created a 6,000 vote swing in a single Michigan state county. Well, 6,000 this county, 6,000 that county. It doesn't take long to do the math and figure out that they cheated. This is what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, the visit to the Dominion voting building located at 215 Spadina Avenue in Toronto in an effort to get some answers. He discovered that the vote tabulation company shares an office with an organization called Tides, which recently changed its name to Makeway. Next wrote in the organized ISO, an extreme leftist eco-radical charity that directs tax applied by George Soros to smaller groups in the organization to advance the globalist agenda of Soros. So, the proof is out here, and everybody sees it. We know what it's about. So, don't fall into this trap and think this election is over, because by far is it over, because when the American people start to voice their opinion in different ways, we're going to be heard. Anyway, the story continues real quick with the close proximity of the organization left vexed with many questions, including whether or not radical employees of the George Soros was able to access the same desk filing cabinet, server, and Wi-Fi of Dominion. Voting and if any extra security protocols taken to ensure no voting data of proprietary information is protected. When he attempted to get those answers, he got escorted from the building. So there's the story, ladies and gentlemen. You can read it yourself on Gateway Pundits if you like, and it's a great story. It goes into further detail. Don't be scared to look up your information. With that being said, this is KG4ZXNC. Back to Mr. Bob and the Saturday Night Liberty Net. So take it away, Mr. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. KG4ZXNC, KHLI. Appreciate your comments. I'm going to jump over there to the Great West 80 RSA and see if Mr. Mo has a comment or just wants to say he's still listening. Over.
And I appreciate it. It's obvious that anybody can see that vote was a fraud, I'm sure, but being a Republican at my age, I don't know what I can do about it. Anyway, it's great to be on the net. I do appreciate you young fellas question if I could, over.
Go right ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Larry down there in Tennessee, is Lynn Air close to you, over?
I'm not understanding your Lynn Air. Is that I'm not sure what that is.
Well, that's the name of a town down there in Tennessee. They got a factory that makes gun barrels. Is that close to you, over?
Spell that for me. I don't think it is. Spell it, make sure I'm understanding you.
All right, well, back to you, Bob. He can't understand me, over.
Go ahead and say the name of the city again. I heard you say it, and I didn't quite figure it out. They make gun barrels. Go ahead.
Lynn Air.
All right, let me see what Larry says. Larry, it's Lynn Air, and they manufacture gun barrels. Okay, no, I hadn't heard of it. I'll Google that. I'll Google that there, Mo, and see if it's anywhere around. But
KO4FE. All right, Bob. Well, you know, we thought the Antifa riots would take a break after Trump, after it's come out that everybody's saying Biden won. You'd think they'd be giving it up, going home and smoking pot or doing whatever they normally do. But that's not the case. We got a headline here: 100 plus Antifa rioters vandalized Portland buildings, no arrests. I guess either the police were ordered to stand down or else they just gave up. They don't care. But anyway, it says reports from Portland, Oregon indicate that police made no arrests of Antifa rioters who vandalized businesses on Friday night. This evening, Friday, a group gathered outside the Mexican consulate in downtown Portland. The Portland Police Bureau tweeted, I guess now they're protesting the Mexicans. The group was described as dressed in all black and wearing helmets. The group engaged in criminal behavior, which includes spray painting and vandalizing the property. Wonder what they're mad at the Mexicans about. Portland journalist Andy No reported the Antifa group publicized the planned marks and vandalism via a digital flyer on social media. They secretly spread the word about a second, quote, private, unquote, march to take place while police were distracted with the downtown event, he reported. Portland police acknowledged that a separate group of nearly 50 people gathered at Northeast Halsey Street and Northeast 52nd Avenue before moving to Northeast 43rd Avenue and Northeast Sandy Boulevard. As the group headed southwest on Northeast Sandy Boulevard towards 40th Avenue, they vandalized many businesses, including many small businesses in their path. An official police statement reports no arrests were made. Andy No reported the group attacked the liberal icon Whole Foods on the city's northeast side during a day of rage in support of trans people. They also attacked multiple financial institutions, including Bank of America, Chase, and One Main Financial. In addition to local and national businesses, the rioters also turned their attention to the Consulate of Mexico in Portland, independent media PDX tweeted. So anyway, the Antifa's going after the Mexicans, after the liberal Whole Foods store. They even went after State Farm Insurance and the Miller Paint Company. Also went after Rose City Realtors and Wells Fargo. I don't know what. I guess maybe they're mad that Trump supposedly lost, and they just can't. They have to riot no matter what. I don't know what's wrong with them. Maybe, obviously they don't have anything better to do. So anyway, here's another one. This has to do with crime statistics. FBI, minorities more likely to commit hate crimes than white people. Every time the FBI gets around to releasing the hate crime data for the previous year, the numbers reveal a wide gap between the media narrative and the reality on the ground. And 2019 data is no different. After sifting through thousands of hate crimes from across the country committed by thousands of criminals, the final breakdown is that of 6,400 known offenders, only 52% of the perpetrators were white and around 24% were black. The FBI measures Latinos as an ethnicity, not a race, so that the white racial category of offenders also includes Latinos. Asians don't even break the 1% barrier. America's demographic distribution comes out to about 60% white, 12% black, 18% Hispanic, and 5% Asian, leaving us with the inescapable reality that Asians are not doing their part because of the conflagration of white people and Latinos. A natural one, of course, since there's no reason except for politics to classify the descendants of European colonists from south of the border as a separate race. The breakdowns are tricky, but the statistics make it obvious that white people are not committing hate crimes at their demographic representation in America. While the Democrats and their cultural establishment, academia, the media, and the entertainment industry equate hate crimes with white people, that's clearly not the case. The FBI statistics point to the reality that black people are committing hate crimes at twice their demographic representation. Even when accounting for age, the under 16 population may only be 49% white, but still only 13.7% black, with most of the growth being among Latinos. Black people, however, are also much more likely to be victims of hate crimes, with over 2,000 victims, so that while black people are the perpetrators of 24% of hate crimes, they were also the victims of 27% of hate crimes. This accords with an overall reality about crime in which black people are more likely to be both perpetrators and victims. The increased police presence in black areas is not, as white leftists and their black nationalist allies insist, an outside of presence, but a response to the needs of the community. Statistically speaking, black people are more likely to need police services. Polls of the black community in the wake of the police defunding movement backed that up, leading to its collapse. There were, however, more hate crimes targeting white people. Here the FBI combines race and ethnicity than Latinos, with 775 white victims of hate crimes and only 693 Latino victims. Latinos are still statistically more likely than white people to be victims of a hate crime, but when it comes to sheer numbers, there are more white victims. It should also be noted that law enforcement is usually more reluctant to address hate crimes against white people, requiring a higher standard of proof, so these numbers are underreported. In another set of statistics that contradicts the dominant media narrative, 60% of anti-religious hate crimes targeted Jews, while only 13% targeted Muslims. The media tends to dwell heavily on any incidents, no matter how slight, that involve Muslims, creating the impression in many polls that they face a constant torrent of persecution. But even though the size of the Jewish and Muslim populations in America are fairly similar, with the Muslim population growing quickly while the Jewish population is declining, the vast majority of anti-religious hate crimes were aimed at Jews. An equally important statistic that few know, there were as many hate crimes against Christians as there were against Muslims. When the numbers of anti-Catholic, anti-Protestant, and attacks on other Christian denominations are tallied, they come out to about 13%. Yet the media will never even report the existence of anti-Christian bias attacks. In 2019, 8.7% of the victims of hate crimes were white, 27% were black, 7.8% were Latino, 11.7% were Jewish, 2.5% were Christian, and another 2% were disabled. But not all hate crimes are created equal. The 2019 tally included only 51 murders, over 3,000 assaults, and over 2,300 vandalism incidents, and over 2,200 intimidation cases. Bias intimidation is often a catch-all term for some sort of non-criminal harassment. The actual numbers of hate crimes is serious, but is padded out with a large number of non-serious and non-criminal acts. This is also where the statistical breakdowns become more troubling. Of the racial motivated murders, 40 were committed by white people and 5 by black people. Of the bias rapes, 12 were committed by white people and 13 were committed by black people. Among bias aggravated assaults, 631 were committed by white people and 295 by blacks. And among simple bias assaults, 1,023 were committed by white people and 505 by black people. Among the most serious categories of crimes, those which involve physical harm, apart from murders, the picture doesn't look anything like the one depicted by the media. The purpose here is not to stigmatize any group of people, but to push back against the stigmatizing narrative. America's hate crime offenders are as diverse as its population. A narrative has been mainstreamed that falsely claims that racism and all bigotry are a matter of power relationships, but violent hate crimes show the power does not have to be defined by net worth, home ownership, or any economic statistics. The origin of power is simple force. But anyway, goes on, it says the perpetrators of identity politics tell us that diversity will make America more tolerant, but the FBI statistics show all that diversity is doing is diversifying the perpetrators of hate crimes. Identity politics no longer even pretends to be making America a more tolerant nation. The only thing that critical race theory has done is to make us a more divided and hateful country. The Democrat approach to fighting racism by becoming more racist and fighting crime by legalizing it hasn't worked. Maybe it's time we tried fighting crime, including hate crimes, with cops, and fighting racism by spending less time hating each other in the nation we all share. So anyway, Bob, there you go. That goes against the media narrative. I mean, you heard that one woman, Michigan councilwoman, who I guess was giving a Lyft or an Uber driver a hard time, so he pulled over and told her to get out of the car, pulled off at a gas station, told her to call, go call for a ride, I'm not taking you any further. And she said she was afraid to get out of the car because of white supremacy. In Detroit, I guess the roving gangs of Klan members and Nazis that are just obviously all over the 85% black Detroit has her paralyzed in fear. So anyway, Bob, KA8JOY Liberty Net from KO4FE.
Alrighty, Bill, those are some great statistics, KO4FE, KHOI. Yeah, Detroit is a predominantly black area. I'm assuming the person in the Uber was also a black person, correct?
I'm not sure. I think it might have been an Arab.
Interesting. Well, thank you for those statistics. It had to take a lot to digest them. I appreciate it. How about KE4KNE? This is KAJOI. Mr. Michael, it is your turn.
Okay, this is Kilo Echo 4, Kilo November Echo. Portable QRP in the mountains of southeastern Kentucky. I just got a cell phone call from my nephew, which is out on a ship in Norfolk, Virginia. And he really appreciated the last transmission from Bill. I'll tell you what, these things mean a lot to the sailors and stuff out on these ships. I mean, I just can't really iterate that so much. But the one thing that they are really concerned about is the quality of the information. That's one thing that they're all kind of wondering about. And by the way, they have like 6 channels of different, like stations and stuff that they can, transmit throughout the ship. And you guys right now are on number 1. That's a good thing. Well, anyway, I want to turn back to you, K410E, portable QRP in the mountains of southeastern Kentucky.
Well, thank you. I hope they're still listening, and I want to thank them for their service to this great country, to the men and women on the Navy ships. And I've said it before, having a son that was a 10-year veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, which is a department of the Navy, and he gave the ultimate sacrifice to this country. But thank you to all those that are serving, and thank you for listening on your QRP radio. It just is so cool how far you get out on that QRP when the conditions are good. Down to KC2, Victor Uniform. Lewis, you are up to the plate, sir. What do you have for us? For ROQ, it is your turn, sir. Good evening again.
No battery. Okay, this is going to be the end of the video. Got batteries running low here, but that was just a portion of the Liberty Net. Happens on Wednesdays and Saturday nights at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. I'm going to put the link to the website to the Liberty Net if you would like to click on that to go to their website to see what it's more about. But like I said, it was Liberty Net on $39.95, 80 meters ham. Have it every Wednesday night and Saturday night. Hope you enjoyed the video. Still tinkering with stuff, trying to eliminate some noise, but I don't know, I still got some of the static in there and everything, but eventually I'll get it straightened out and get some of that noise out of there for y'all. I've had some people requesting that. But with that said, please just like the video, subscribe to my channel, and this will be all for now.
And one of the things I've listened to several times